My goodness gracious, I don't know where you're going.
Okay, good. We're not live yet. We'll be live in a second.
Give me a second.
Go get ready.
Yeah. It's not
We're
gonna
live.
believe me, it's not going to give you any dates.
No, look.
We're live.
Days.
Oh.
All right, welcome guys to
We
Shiur
finished. No, please get out of here.
with a special guest.
Oh my gosh.
What are you doing?
trying
I'm
to
introducing you. Our special guest, Rabbi Yirmi Ginsberg,
Rabbi.
world-renowned
Can you please go away?
Breslov Mashpia.
So now you drive a Porsche and you have a Rabbi. I see.
Yeah.
Nice.
None of them that I really want.
Someone manifested it.
Yeah. Somebody. Okay. Here's another safe anybody needs. Okay, we're going to do Nun Beis tonight. Okay, Sicha Nun Beis. Much shorter Sicha than we've been dealing with the past few weeks. Some important points from Nachman. It's a shorter Sicha. We'll see if how much you get through here. Okay, let's start. Says Nachman, he says, Mikol HaDevarim, everything. Mikol HaDevarim, everything, every action, every object, from everything, Tzoik Kavod Hashem Yisbarach, screaming out the Kavod of Hashem. Everything in this world is calling out the Kavod Hashem, Ki Molech Al Aretz Kevoda, because the whole world is filled with his Kavod, with the Kodesh Baruch Hu's Kavod. Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, and it's based on a pasuk, we'll see. Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, Kol ma shabara Kodesh Baruch Hu b'olamo, everything that a Kodesh Baruch created in this world, this is not inside the Sefer, I'm just reading you a Mishnah Pirkei Avos, Perek Vov, Mishnah Yud Aleph. Kol ma Kodesh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu b'olamo, and everything that Kodesh Baruch created in this world, lo baro el lichvodo, he only created it for his covet. Shenemar kol hanikra b'shmi, whatever is called in my name, ulichvodi, for my covet, barosiv, it was created, Yitzartiv, fashioned, Afasisu, it was made. We discussed this before, that this is the source of the different olamos, right? There's four worlds. We know that the lowest of the world is the Olam Asiyah, which is the objects of the world, the physicality of the world, the doings of the world, the Olam HaYetzira, which is the world of, translated as form, fashioning, which is also the world of emotions, we could say. Berosiv, Boros, the create, is the lashon, is the world of Bria, which is the world of the mind. Right, a person could be doing something, and his mind could be somewhere totally separate. His heart could be in a third place. There's different worlds, and then the word Ulichvodi for my kavod is the world of Atzilus. So everything ultimately, everything in this world was created for Kodesh Baruch Hu's kavod, his kavod. So says Rabbi Nachman. V'afilu misipurei hagoyim tzoik gamkein kavod Hashem Yisbarach. Even the stories, that which happens to goyim, also cry out kavod Hashem. Which means, if one would know how to watch the news, although the news should be asur, right? But if you want to read the news and watch it appropriately, doesn't matter if it's about Trump or if it's about Eretz Yisrael. Everything you have to understand, you have to believe, is all kavod Hashem. Right? There's nothing that can be outside of what Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing. Right? Emunah 101. Hashgacha Pratis 101. That a Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world and he runs the world. Right? So therefore, there can be no news story. There can be nothing in this world that's not from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? And if it's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why did Kodesh Baruch Hu create the world? Very simply. There's a few answers to this question, but in the most simple way that most people know, why did he create the world? He created it for his kavod, but how do we say it? You guys know why he created the world? Why are you here? Lehetiv Lebruov.
Lehetiv Lebruov, that one should, the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world because he wants to do good to his people, to Klal Yisrael, to the world. Okay. That we recognize him. There's a few different reasons. They can intertwine with each other. That we recognize his kochos. We recognize that he does good. When a person recognizes, you're being mechabed. But if you were doing something and nobody's paying attention to you, there's no kavod. The second somebody recognizes what you're doing, they become aware of what you're doing, and they appreciate it to some degree, that's already called kavod. That's already respect, honor. We'll have to see what the difference is between respect and honor is. So even the stories of Goyim, everything is screaming out Kvod Hashem. And you have to know how to. You have to know how to learn the Maisa. Two things you know: what you see with your eyes, what you hear with your ears, what happened. That's the chitzonius. The panemius always. The ikr panemius to go to the depth is kavod Hashem. Then, if a person wants to try to learn properly, well, how did I get from this outer Maisa to the kavod Hashem? That's the middle of it. That's the emtsai. That's where you have to pick it up. Two things you know for sure. I'm seeing with my eyes what's going on. That's assuming it's real news. Usually it's fake news, of course. So that's why the news is ridiculous. But if, let's say, something in your life, so you see it happen, you did it. So one, or happened to you. So that you see, the panimi is the inner motivation, inner reason you know, it's Kvod Hashem. Then you have to have that limud, that learning. How is this thing Kvod Hashem? Right? That's up to us to do. But this is part of our munah. That even the Sipuri Goyim Tzoi Gam King Kvod Hashem is Baruch Mashakaz. The pasuk says, Sapru Bagoyim as Kavodo. What's the last part of the pasuk? Chol Amim Neflosov. So Sapru Bagoyim Kavodo usually means Sapru Bagoyim Kavodo. Some say it means that the Goyim even call out Kadosh Baruch Hu's Kavod. The way Rabbi Nachman's learning is Sapru Bagoyim, the stories of Goyim, the Sipuri Goyim, Kavodo is Hashem's Kavod. B'chol ha'amim neflosov. Through all the nations, His wonders come out. There's nothing in this world that you cannot say, this is the Kavod Hashem. Some things are more difficult to discern. You have to be very careful. Right? But if you go to the basics, which we should do, and the Rambam even says to do it, to go outside, look at the trees, look at the sky. Rambam says the way to Avos Hashem, the way to Yiras Hashem, is to recognizing that the Bria is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. That is covered. Right? If we don't recognize that a Kodesh Baruch Hu is behind every object, behind every event, you're not being mechabed Him. And then you're not part of the purpose of creation. He created everything for His kavod. He created us, the human beings who have das. We're the only ones that can say, Zeh Keli Vanveh. That this is my God, whatever it is, whatever you're pointing at. Pick anything. It could be the Sefer, it could be the tree, it could be the light, whatever it is. Zeh Keli, this is my God, Vanveh, and I will glorify Him. Animals can't do that. So we have the opportunity. The only reason why this world exists is because for Him to do good and for us to recognize that good. So if we recognize the good, we recognize His kavod, there's a creation. If we don't, then it's what are we living in? What are we doing? It's an important point. So says Rabbi Nachman, he says, Shafilu b'sipurei goyim tzorei kavod Hashem yisbarach. That even the stories of the goyim, which seemingly have no shaychus, one would think, what shaychus is that with me? No, it does. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu is behind it all. It's the Kavod Hashem. Because that's why He created this event. And therefore, it's for us to recognize that. So everything's screaming out, Kavod Hashem, Kavod Hashem. The Indian, how would you define respect? How do you define respect? Put it into words.
Unconditional love?
That's I wouldn't go that far. Respect is unconditional love?
I would to go out of the way, even though it's not always your best interest, you know?
If I respect somebody, no. Respect is more...
Do you recognize their qualities?
Fear. More like...
Respect comes definitely more from the side of Teferis and Gvura. But it's more Teferis. And it's, what did you say?
Recognize like their qualities?
Recognizing one's qualities. To the point you admire their qualities.
Like, yeah.
I wouldn't say it's Yira. I think Yira's... I think Rabbi Nachman says in the Likutei Moharan, I think he says that the shoresh of kavod is Yira. One of the earlier Torahs, I forgot which way it is. Definitely connected. That's, I mean, it's between Yira and Teferis. But it's the recognition, it's the awareness, it's the consciousness of the qualities. That's what kavod is. That's respect. Huh?
You got it.
Right? To the point though, I always like to say kavod. What's the gematria kavod? Kaf beis vav daled. 32. So when it says Rabbi Kiva's Talmidim lo nagu kavod zeh lezeh, they weren't mechaber each other.
They didn't listen to each other's Torahs, right? They just wanted to say. They didn't want to listen to anybody else. Kavod is Gematria 32, which is leiv. Leiv. Real respect means you're not just saying, "Oh, great job." It's you allow that which that person did into your heart. You admire. It's something a little bit deeper. When person allows his respect to really enter his heart, then he turns around and he starts to honor the person. Right? Honors that it's also from the word kavod. But honoring means you really, really respect the person. It's a higher madreg. So we have this many madregas of our recognition of a Kodesh Baruch Hu in this world. Right? We can be very simple, very intellectual. Okay, God created the world. Very good. You're mammon if you say that? Of course you're mammon. But what happens when you look more into the world? Pick anything, and you think about it more. And at the same time, you're looking at you're recognizing, aware, you're conscious. Pick any word you want. That this is a Kodesh Baruch Hu here. The energy, whatever is giving this thing life, is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Whoa, respect, man. Right? That's what they say. And when somebody does something that is chazak, they say, "Yo, respect." So that's how we should be thinking, not like speaking, like that to Kodesh Baruch Hu, but in a certain way, anything. Sunny day, whoa, respect Hashem, whoa. And we want to start with positive things, right? The negative things, the ra is more difficult to start with. We don't start with that. Right? Let's start with the good stuff. Grass, whoa, respect. Borei. Instead of bro, Borei. Like that?
That's a t-shirt right there.
Like that, respect Borei. Take a look. Take a look at anything in creation. Take a look at any event that's happening. If you link it to a Kodesh Baruch Hu, wow, he did all that stuff. This is Amunah 101. This is code. This is why he created the world. Now, weiter, says Rabbi Nachman, Ki kevodo yizbarach tzoik tamid. The kavod of a Kodesh Baruch Hu is always screaming out to us. It's literally screaming to us. It's just that our ears are stuffed with either our own wants and desires, our own ego, our own bad midos. The second a person feels entitled in this world, the second a person, any of these bad midos, you don't hear Kodesh Baruch Hu anything. Once you have a taiva for kavod, there is no way you're seeing kavod Hashem, because you want it all for yourself. So Kodesh Baruch Hu is screaming and screaming and screaming. The whole world is him screaming. But yet, who's seeing the Borei Olam? Very few people. Why? Who created the tree? Anybody here would answer. Kodesh Baruch Hu, of course. But then, why don't you think about that every day? Once a week, once a month, once a year, think about that. She says, once a year I do Birkas Ilanos, I say once a year. Okay, twice a year. Rabbi Nachman once said to Rabbi Nosson, he said, did you see the sky today? Rabbi Nosson says, yeah. Rabbi Nachman says, no. Did you see the sky today? Did you look at the sky? Did you recognize? First of all, were you aware of the sky, or you just saw it in passing? Did you recognize that that's a Kodesh Baruch Hu? You know what the Yerushalmi says? They translate the word das. Yerushalmi says das equals hakaras Hashem, a recognition of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's true das. True das is when not just you're aware, you're knowledgeable. It's when you know the end of the knowledge, which is always Kvod Hashem. That's true das. Right? That's true das. So the Yerushalmi says. So that's always what we're looking for. So Rabbi Nachman says to Rabbi Nosson, did you see? Did you see the sky? Did you pay attention today? It's Kedai. Everybody has a moon, and everybody works on a moon. But they don't always put it into practice. You know what they wait for? Because people don't have the full sugya. You know when does a person work on a moon? When does a moon get triggered? When? Something goes wrong, tragedies. It's so crazy. It's crazy to me that the whole world of Emunah B'Tachon, which is the biggest, is only used in SOS situations, in emergency situations, when things go wrong, things go bad. I don't have what I want. Now I got to turn on my Emunah to put on my mask, my Emunah mask, like a superhero, my B'Tachon cape. Emunah is every single second, always.
Every single second. Mamash. I probably said this before, but the Chavos Baba says that Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world, an amazing thing. He created the world in a way that the most necessary resources are they're the most abundant. Water. Water is needed the most. It's the most, right? Go to the Pacific. It's endless. Atlantic. So then, I don't know if it's the Chavos Baba. So we know that in Ruchnius, what's the most needed? Torah. So Mayim is Torah, right? Mayim is the Mashal. We know that. So I think the Alter from Kelmi says, no. There's something that's even more needed. What's the most important resource in the world that's in the most abundance? Air. What does air equal? Emunah. Because every single breath you take, wherever you are, could be a mam. Kol neshima v'neshima ta'alka. Says the Gemara. Kol neshama ta'alka. Every soul praises Hashem. Gemara darshans in brachos and mem. Kol neshima v'neshima ta'alka. Every breath you take, you can praise Hashem. Every breath is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. It takes emunah to recognize every breath is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. So emunah is in the most abundance. It's everywhere. Torah, somewhat you're limited. I mean, Torah is bigger than just learning Torah. Torah is much more than that, but you need some kind of whatever. Avira, avir, air, emunah. It's everywhere. Just people don't even realize. Even breathing, people don't necessarily realize. You know, we just breathe automatically. But there's a way to breathe and there's a way to breathe. Person, right? I'll tell you, Moshe Rabbeinu comes. I say it's a simple psukim. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Klal Yisrael. Chaver, it's time to go. There's a creator of the world. Ekya asher ekya. We're going out of Mitzrayim. Let's go. What do the people say? Nah, can't be. Can't be. Why was I supposed to say why? Because they have shortness of breath and they're working too hard. So what do you see? Shortness of breath, they can't have emunah. Because they weren't just they Pashas weren't breathing. Who breathes nowadays? No one's breathing. Your body automatically breathes. That's very nice. Very good. So you're alive. Who's consciously breathing? It's not a joke. Who's consciously taking a breath? One breath can change your whole day. Huge. Right, I've said what Rashal told us, yeah? You want an avoda? You want to give out the avoda? So you do this. So Rashal, Mashpia, he says, when you breathe in, the first breath you take in is Vayipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chama. Kodesh Baruch Hu is breathing that into you right now. When I'm breathing in, Kodesh Baruch Hu is breathing out into me. That's the Yud of Yud Kei Vav Kei. When you hold that breath, that's called the Hey. Because what is a Hey? It spreads out. It takes from that little Yud and spreads out. Oh, you guys are going this way. This and then down. That's right. So when you take a breath, Yud, and you hold it, the air spreads out through your body. Then Vav is now you are pushing it back out. It's like a Vav from the bottom of my body all the way up. Straight. Vav. And then you hold that. And that's the end Hey. When a person breathes in, holds, out, holds, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Emunah, Kol Neshima v'Neshima Ta'al Go. That's exactly what's happening. Try breathing. Try, you'll see. It's an amazing thing. It's free. It can bring you to mamash, a state of ecstasy. Just breathing. Especially when you're looking at the sky. That's how you get to see the sky. Okay. So Rabbi Nachman, he says, Ki kavodo yizbarach tzoik tamid v'korim ramis l'adam chikar v'lav yizbarach. Everything in this world is calling out kavod Hashem. The Korah is calling out umaramis. Hashem is hinting la'adam to each one of us chikar v'lav yizbarach, to come close to Him. Everything in this world is calling us to recognize Him and to come serve Him. What was the greatest gift in the world? HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the world, and everything in creation is to be marbe His kavod. Then the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, listen, Chevra, I love you so much, and I want you to be the best you can be, or be all you can be in the army, right? Sichos Hashem. So I'm going to give you a guidebook, that if you follow this guidebook, you mamash will be the best you could possibly be. You stay away from these kinds of foods, you do these mitzvahs, you stay away from these isurim, and science has even proven, not Science has even proven that some of the things that the Torah tells us to do and not to do actually is beneficial. Not that we need the science to prove it, but it's always nice that they're recognizing it. Right? Squid might not be so good for you. You know what I mean? Might not be so good. Squid it could hurt you a little bit. Respect. Whoa. So Kodesh Baruch Hu gives the Torah. So every single thing in this world, besides the Iker recognition, this is the Borei Olam, it's supposed to bring you to serve Him through the Torah. Kodesh Baruch Hu always wants to bring Him, us, close to Him, with compassion, with love. Now, there's two types of Ramazim. There's the Remez, Yid, come serve me. And then what happens when the Yid doesn't pay attention? It doesn't pay attention. So there's another type of sign that Kodesh Baruch Hu sends. In a different type of form. A little more of a painful form. Right? Everything's a remes that Kodesh Baruch Hu's covered. If you don't see it in the nice way, then He's going to keep sending it. The whole world is built, every single thing is His covered. You have to come to that recognition. Either it's going to come from Chesed, or it's going to come from Gvura. That's each of our, that's Bechira. Are you going to recognize Him, or is He going to have to beat it out of us? Right? Originally, everything is He's calling us Barach and Bahav B'chi B'Gedolos. We have to see it. We have to have our ears open. Says Rabbi Nachman, Zeh Shadam Eslav L'Pam. Listen to this. Zeh Shadam Eslav L'Pam B'Soch Tfiloso Maschilis Bal B'Slav V'Secheshe Godel V'Tfiloso Shegur Mitzvah B'Fif. Sometimes a person is davening. Hopefully you've experienced this before. You're davening. You're trying to daven, and this explosion of excitement. You get an opening, an awakening. Your mind opens up. You get excited, energetic, and you start to daven with hislavas. Especially if you're davening in a place where they daven out loud, screaming. When you daven out loud, you hear yourself davening. It kind of like revs the engine, and at a certain point, you take lift off. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Happens a lot. People sometimes experience it on Friday night. Sometimes they experience it Hallel, Shabbos day. Sometimes maybe Yom Kippur. Or Yom Noraim sometimes when there's a little bit more energy, and you mamish, you feel it. You're in the zone. You're on fire. I don't know, pick whatever, you know. You ever felt that before? I hope you felt it before. If you're not, we have to daven for you. It's an amazing thing, because listen to what is it? What is that? Zehu, says Rabbi Nachman. Zehu or Hashem Yisborach ba'atzmo kaviyachol. That energy that you feel, that excitement, is the light of God Himself. Where did that come from, that extra energy, into your system? We have a system. We're like a car. We're like a factory, right? We have an exhaust. You know, like the big factory have the exhaust pipes with all the smoke billowing out. Right, that's our mouth. Be very careful what comes out of your mouth. What?
Cloud seeding.
Yeah. So we're like a factory, and we have a certain amount of energy. But sometimes this energy out of nowhere comes in. How did that come into your system? Because that's a Kodesh Baruch Hu. From Kesser, opening it up and just dropping like another, pill or something. Light on fire. It's the Or Hashem Yisborach Mamish. Shinas Labish Bo becomes enclosed in this person. The Koreo Solav Odasa Yisborach. Kodesh Baruch saying, come. I know you've been trying, right? You've built yourself a keli. You're trying to see me in everything. You're davening, and then a Kodesh Baruch opens this person up. He's on fire. Hashem saying, come, keep coming, just keep going, keep coming. That's a Kodesh Baruch Hu's way of inspiring us, encouraging us. He doesn't come talk to us. When a person's doing avodas Hashem, when He gives you that extra flame, that extra fire, that is a Kodesh Baruch Hu coming and pounding us on the back and saying, keep going. It's not much what it is. We have to see things the right way. I wouldn't say these words. This fire, this excitement that a person feels during his davening, it is a Kodesh Baruch Hu coming into into your system. The Borei Olam has descended into your world. He is your praise. He is your God. Kodesh Baruch Himself sometimes is your praise, and sometimes your tefillah. Kodesh Baruch Hu descends upon you. And sometimes the Kodesh Baruch Hu, the person davens right in front of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. He's mamish on fire. He feels the Borei Olam. They feel very connected, right? And therefore, it's key like a Kodesh Baruch Hu standing in front of this person.
Rabbi Nachman says that if a person would really believe, Rabbi Nachman says, I know if you're a real believer or not. Rabbi Nachman says, just see how you daven. I can see. If you really, really believe in a Kodesh Baruch Hu, then you would daven with some energy. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu is listening. Like, what's tefillah? It's our words, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu is Kivyahol's ears. So if you really, really believe, you wouldn't be whispering your davening. You wouldn't be thinking about something else. You'd really be davening. It's very clear, he says. That's a proof. The proof's in the pudding.
Or stolen. You can scream all you want.
You can scream all you want. But a person has to know if that's
the right way.
Yeah. He has to know if is he feeling it or is he just screaming because everybody else is screaming? You know?
Maybe better. Anyways.
It's probably better to scream out than to be whispered, but not if you're going to be totally... Not if you think you're big tzaddik, and you're really not. But the Aish Kodesh talks about not screaming and not being a whisperer. A nice audible tefillah.
Now Riza he would be quiet, no?
What boy? You want to Esrei? I'm talking about Pesukah Zimran.
No, Pesukah Zimran.
Was he down?
You can say it enough that you could hear it on your own.
You have enough to hear it from your house. Halachically, you don't have to hear it. Halachically. Shema you do, but halachically you don't have to say Pesukah, you don't have to hear it. But in a voda, you have to hear it. It lights you up. Dibur guides a person. Right? You could tell by a person how he speaks about something. If he comes and he's talking to you about, imagine you're a salesman and you're trying to sell a product. You're like, yeah, it's a good product. It's it's very nice. It has this and it has that. It's
so loud you can like that?
Yeah.
Much lower. Go lower.
Even that, who would buy that product? That's how you come in. No, you have to sell the product.
I would buy it.
Some energy. So says Rabbi Nachman, it's mamish Kodesh Baruch Hu coming on a person. It's a big schus. But then he says sometimes what happens, the opposite happens. Sometimes the Kodesh Baruch Hu stays away from a person. He's stalik misrachik. How many do you need?
We have 8.
So can you give us 3-4 minutes?
Yeah.
We'll come. If a person feels distant from the Kodesh Baruch Hu, she's not feeling that hislavas. So now what? So I'm not going to daven now. Why should I daven? I don't feel the hislavas. I don't feel the Kodesh Baruch Hu descending on me. It says Nachman, Hu tzarich gam kin l'spalo hashlich hatfilas achav yisbarach b'chinas hashlich al Hashem yavecha. No. You have to still daven with energy. You have to throw your pekel on a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because you know what it proves? This is always how it is in Avodas Hashem. Is your avoda talui bedavar? Is your cover? That's what we're talking about cover over here. Is your cover Hashem talui bedavar? Are you only honoring Hashem when you feel Him in your life? Are you only honoring Kodesh Baruch Hu when it does good for you? Are you only honoring Kodesh Baruch Hu when you get something back in return? Yeah, when a Kodesh Baruch Hu descends on me and I feel great, respect. What happens when you don't feel it? So that's it. Respect's out the window. True respect, true honor. It's be'etzim. Whether you're getting or you're not getting. Well, you're not feeling it. So there's no Boreolo? God's not in the world anymore? Of course he's in the world. But I'm not feeling it. I'm not getting from him. So I don't feel like putting in. That means you're not respecting him. That means your kavod Hashem is talui b'davar. It's dependent on something, which means it's never good.
So you get at the bottom, you have to accept it as if it's the best day in your life, as if it's totally normal it's supposed to be.
This is what it is. I don't want to say the best day.
No, I'm saying
this is how it's supposed to be right now.
What's
And
happen.
Right, and you have to keep davening because sometimes you have to throw your tefillos at a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Even when a Kodesh Baruch Hu leaves you don't feel it. You have to throw tefillos at him. Praiseworthy is the one who knows how to throw arrows. See, someone's the Kodesh Baruch Hu is far away. He's not right on top of you, but you still have to throw your tefillos to him. So if you're like, all right, I'm not feeling it today, so I'm not going to daven. So your words are very weak. They're not going to go anywhere. There's no arrows. It's like, boom, boom. Like a droopy Jew. Like a droopy arrow, you know? You gotta fire, you gotta shoot. Because that's kavod, that's respect. Even if you don't feel it, who cares? If you recognize the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and He runs the world, and everything you ask, everything that is Him, you just throw, you keep throwing. You make yourself a vessel, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu eventually will decide when to descend upon you. But if you don't, then it's not real kavod.
Is there a difference between, I guess, not knowing how to throw arrows because you're just not feeling it, or versus not throwing arrows correctly because you just don't have the confidence in yourself. Like, let's say you just like you gave into a type or whatever, and you're just like, there's no way that my feeling now is going to get answered, whatever. And so like your confidence in yourself.
That's so. What are you asking? Is
that the same thing, or is it different?
In one way, it is. In one way, it needs to be understood. It ultimately it is. If you really had the Kodesh Hashem, you really got it. Who cares if a person falls to sin? So that means there's no God. That means we don't mechabed him.
No, it's not about mechabed. It's like
no. So I'm saying, at the end of the day, a lack of confidence in the self. Why should that mean that my tefillah is not? I don't throw. Is there a Borei Olam still? Still Borei Olam. Right? When a person sins, he doesn't think there's a Borei Olam anymore. I mean, he has to say that. When a person sins, either there's no Borei Olam or I'm really a bad guy. What?
Disconnected.
It's disconnected. So either way, you've done it to yourself. But if you get him in an honest one, is there Borei Olam? There's a Borei Olam. Is davening emes? Davening's emes. So then why aren't you davening strong? Because I don't feel well. I'm not confident. That's your own covered, and that becomes the problem why you can't be mechaber Kodesh Baruch, because you're dealing with your own covered, even if you're licking your wounds. So it's the same thing, but we have to come from a different angle. I'll go upon him. A person has to throw tefillos at the Kodesh Baruch, whether you feel it or don't. That's real covered, and that will make you a vessel to have that hislavus and to continue.